Hey guys, it is Sunday, November 8th, 2020. Today we are going through a historical neighborhood here in Halifax's north end. It's the Hydrostone. Now the Hydrostone was constructed in the 1920s as a result of the Halifax explosion that happened in December of 1917, which two ships in the harbor collided, decimating pretty much the whole north end of the city. It was the largest man-made explosion before the atomic bombs in World War II. Now, Hydrostone gets its name from the special type of brick and concrete that was used. When they were building it. I'm on the opposite side of the street where there's no sidewalks, just so I can show you the various shops. Now, why they made it out of this type of stone is because during the Halifax explosion, literally this whole end was toppled down and houses caught fire. So they wanted to make a fireproof area for people to live. It is a relatively small neighborhood. It's bordered on Yonge Street, which is where I'm walking on now. And then we're going to go down Isleville Street, or some people like to call it Isaville. I don't like pronouncing the S because I'm going with what my grammar teacher taught me when I was little. So look up Yonge Street. So basically, this is the neighborhood we're going to. A lot of nice type there. Even my eyes can't even read it all. So the Hydrostone, the actual brick that it was made from, came from an area on the Dartmouth side at the mouth of the harbor called Eastern Passage. Now that is where they had the factory, where they did this with a mix of concrete and granite to make them fire-resistant homes. Right now we are on western border of the Hydrostone. There we go. Typical look of the Hydrostone neighborhood are these quaint little boulevards with the houses. Now during the 80s and 90s, as more young professional people were moving into the neighborhood, houses did get renovated. Let's go up one of these. Now in between each neighborhood, Each street is a service lane. It's not much for backyards. So mostly this is where the recycling trucks and the garbage trucks come up, and residents can park their vehicles. Back in 1993, this became designated as a Canadian Heritage Site. This is Fort Needham Park across the street. Every December, they always have a memorial for those that were lost in the Halifax explosion. Good. Take a peek down here. This is one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. Would love to be able to afford to live here, but in recent years, real estate prices have gone through the roof. Now up in the park, there are bells that chime on the anniversary date, which has eluded me for some reason because I know my history of my city. But they go off, and that's where folks can have their services, and they do remember what happened. So when I think back to 103 years ago, all this was nothing. Just piles of rubble and smoke from the fires. Now, an organization was founded here in Halifax as a result of the Halifax explosion, which was the CNIB, which is the Canadian National Institute for the Blind, because with the explosion, lots of things embedded into people's eyes, as well as other parts of their body. I'll show you this. It's a really good example of a house that hasn't changed much. I go too fast. There's a lovely little fountain in the front, some gardens. Now the houses on the end of each little boulevard were made for single families, whereas all the other townhomes were built as duplexes and triplexes. kind of sad when you start seeing the shingling being put over the stone and the concrete. As far as I know, this is one of the only neighborhoods like this in anywhere in North America that is made by this special type of concrete and granite mixture for bricks. Now, when they made them in Eastern Passage, which is at the mouth of the harbor on the eastern side, they shipped them by barge. And actually they made 2 streets in Halifax that were made to transport these heavy bricks, because the hill going down to the harbor is quite steep. So they created Devonshire Avenue and Dartmouth Road. I believe that's what it's called. And it runs diagonally from Barrington Street up to Duffiss, which is on the northernmost part of the Hydrostone Neighbourhood. Another look at the way that the streets are made. So we're back on Isabel now. I'll be saying it interchangeably both ways. Another utility or service lane. Now, Stanley is probably the only road in the Hydrostone that is not a boulevard. Not sure why that is. Trying to walk like a ninja. There's leaves all over the ground. My production assistant, also known as my son, is with me. So if you hear double footfalls, it's because he's behind me. Now I'm noticing too with my Galaxy, when I record, it lets me do about 20 minutes, which is okay because sometimes 20 minutes is long enough. But I think what I'm going to do right now is cut off right now and start up again when I cross the street over at Fort Needham Park. So I think I will do that for now. Alright, I know that was a little bit of a jump edit across the street, and I had about 14 minutes already recorded. Now this is a park I barely go to. I don't know why, because it's not too far from where I live. It's about a 10-minute walk. Trying to do my ninja walking. My apologies if I start panting. Hills are not my friend. But I live in a city that's built on a hill. Best part about having a teenage son walking with you, he can take the camera while I try to catch my breath. I hate hills. That was our attempt at doing a smooth transition. Just a small park now. At one time it used to be the whole hill, but they have built homes through the trees here. Fort Needham actually, this park actually used to have remnants of an old battalion. Okay, so it looks like some of the bells are no longer there. Oh, nope, they are. They're just hidden by the shadows. Now these are the bells that commemorate the Halifax explosion. So every December, I know the date, but it eludes me right now. See if I can get a better view. I think there is one survivor from the Halifax explosion that's still around. I can't remember her name, but I think she was just a baby and her parents were outside when it happened. And she got blown from her cradle into the open fireplace, the stove, the cast iron wood stove. It was not on. There was no fire in it. And that protected her. Now, I remember a few years ago, for my Canadian viewers, those Heritage Minutes with Vincent Coleman, who was the dispatcher. He's the one who notified the train that was coming into the city to stop. And he died shortly after he sent the message via Morse code to the train and got acknowledgement. The two ships were the Emo and the Mont Blanc. Let's see. If we go. If I look. It's hard to tell nowadays. But in between this, like if you keep following that path straight down, that would be in line of the narrows of where the explosion actually took place. This whole area was completely obliterated. The elementary school that was around, because it was made out of granite and brick, was basically a makeshift morgue for those. Across the harbor in Dartmouth was obliterated as well, and most of the city. Now, the reverberation from the Halifax explosion could be felt as far away as, say, northern New Brunswick and the Gaspé Peninsula of Quebec. Like I said earlier, it was the largest man-made explosion prior to the atomic weapons of World War II of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Nowadays, this park is just basically tennis courts, sports fields, and the bell tower. When I was at Point Pleasant Park a few videos ago, when I had the sun blaring in my eyes, that was when we were around the Prince of Wales Tower. That was the southernmost tower for the battlements. And there used to be one up here at the most northern part of the city. Oh, this is interesting. This is giving you the specs. I'm at a really crappy angle for this. That is for the Mont Blanc. And over here, is for the Emo. Those were the two ships that collided into the harbor, which caused the explosion. I know I'm a month early for the commemorative anniversary of it. Now on the benches, I do believe that is what caught fire and caused the explosion. I apologize if my narration is off. I haven't had coffee today.
Did you have?
Yes, it is. Actually, if I keep looking at all the benches, it keeps giving everything that was on these ships as their cargo, whether it be the chemical components, see, this one here is the TNT. If you kind of look, you can see the value, how many pounds, how many barrels, of it. I'm just noticing that now. Like I said, I don't really come to this park. I should come up here a little bit more and explore. So it's a little bit more about the ship. What flag it flew under, what kind of a ship it was, where it was manufactured, the speed, the tonnage. I kind of geek out on stuff like that. I do usually have a background in shipping, in logistics. These are markers. There's 12 of them actually throughout the city, including across the harbor in Dartmouth. And they are memorials for the Halifax explosion. There are 12 of them. I walk past 2 of them each day coming home from work. Yeah, that's me, that's my son. Holy crap, it's really reflective.
What's that, Mommy?
Off in the distance, you can hear those bells chime. It is the Westminster chimes that they are playing. Now, why couldn't they have a playground like this when I was a kid? That is bomb. I had these metal things that would burn your butt when you slid down them. Not cool. So there is now, if you heard that in the background, like it sounded like a gunshot, technically it's not. Every day from Citadel Hill at 12 noon, they shoot off a Noonday gun. Been doing that since the early days of the fort. So it is noon in Halifax. Another one of these Halifax explosion ones. Try not to get my reflection in it. I'm kind of looking like a skid today. Got my comfy clothes on. And I got my Skechers. Those are my shoes of choice. This is my favorite part, walking down a hill. It is a lovely park. It is very small, but still a nice place just to come and relax if you're living up here in the North End and you just want to have a little tranquility. There are a few parks in the city and little parkettes. Where I started off the video introducing the Hydrostone, that was a little parkette there. Now, a little piece of history is that if I look straight down here, whoops, sorry, past those street lights is called Gottingen Street, and from those street lights all the way up here, it is called Nova Lee. Still the same street. But they decided back in 1981, residents wanted to change the name because during the time of the 60s and 70s, Gottingen Street had a bit of a reputation. Whether it was justified or not, I don't know. I was 7 years old in 1981. Do the math. Anyway, because Gottingen Street had a predominantly ethnic neighborhood, the predominantly upper class white folks did not want to be associated with it, so they had city council change the name. Stupid. Very. Don't agree with it. Anyway, it's 2020 and it is back on the books to get the name changed back. Hopefully it happens. Because when I talk to my parents about it, they have no idea where Nova Lee Drive is. To them, it's still Gottingen Street. So yes, racism happens here in Halifax too. We're not immune to it either. But I don't want to get political on my channel, because that's not what it's for. It's for me to show off my awesome city that I love. I keep coming back to here. I've lived in other places. I've been to the larger cities. But there's something about the ocean and the salt water that calls. Now, straight ahead is a local brewery called Olin's. I do believe now it's owned by Labatt, but it was founded by the Oland family. Their mansion is up on Yonge Avenue in the South End. It looks like a castle, though they no longer live there. And it became a consulate, I do believe, for the Chinese government. Now we're just going into reverse of where I was earlier. This time we'll just walk on the sidewalk. There is yarn stores, an Italian pizzeria. Looks like things are coming back to normal here. All right. So I think I will end my video here. Hopefully that little break in between wasn't too disturbing. Oh look, great big huge leaf pile. I kind of want to be like a little kid and jump in it, but I won't. Anyway, I think I will stop my video here in the little parkette here. I might head over to one of these little shops and grab a quick bite because I'm a little peckish, and maybe a cup of favorite is down there. Anyway, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and tell your friends all about this. Thanks for watching. Bye.